following is an Operation Podcast production.
But having those people, the like-minded individuals,
I call them lichens. Like-minded individuals that can keep you motivated, right? Not like to use the word motivated, but keep you in tune with your passion that creates the purpose. I think all of us need that. You need those people, right? If I get a certain energy from you, I don't want to bombard you, but I want to give just as much as you give. What's up? It's Cuttino Mobley, and I'm on Live Through Love podcast with my guy Ruben, and we're talking about love, baby. Why do we love? Who do we love? And what inspires us to love? Can't wait for you guys to hear what we got to say. Tune in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Live Through Love. I'm your host, Ruben Rojas, and thank you for tuning in.
Cat.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming into the studio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
It's my honor. I believe some of the heyday of basketball was, 98, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
I'm a Laker fan, so I've seen the Rockets playing. You were playing with the Rockets and stuff. So
Yeah.
to me, it's really cool to just be able to sit here and have this conversation with you.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was going to be a Laker. So Bus wanted me, Dr. Bus wanted me to be a Laker.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe and I grew up together. So competing against, people you admire and to get the best out of you, I thought was the best for me. Mm-hmm. So I stayed where I was at pretty much in Houston. Mm-hmm. Should have went to the Lakers. I probably won a championship, but it's all good.
Life takes us in all the paths that we need to get through. And I believe in not looking back for regrets. Like an ex-girlfriend. Oh, I shouldn't have dated her. But why? That led me to my wife now.
Right.
So all these things just lead us to the present moment.
Yeah, growth, man. It takes a while to learn that, though. Right? It takes a while to really understand, the things that do happen in your life, they happen for the reasons for you to become better as an individual. And I forget who I was listening to someone. They said the most important thing in life is not your kids, not your business, not anything else. The most important thing in your life is growing, right? You have to grow to become a better teacher, a better father, a better mother, a better whatever. Growing within is the best thing for you. So you can then show, right? Because speaking about it is something different than really showing that what you do every single day. So, you have this love, but you show it also, right? Mm-hmm. And it's something different for men that grew up in our day and age where you didn't really have to show, where you shouldn't show those emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, grown men don't cry, right?
Yeah, how about that?
You can't show any of that. That's weakness.
It was, man. It was. Until I got a daughter. My dad, I saw my stepfather cried. I was blessed to have 4 parents. And amazing, all of them. And my father and my stepfather were a little different in a way where my stepfather hugged more. My dad hugged all the time. Mm-hmm. Not so much kissing, but he hugged all the time. My stepfather hugged, kissed, cried, and he was a street guy. Mm-hmm. He was literally a street guy. People were scared of him. Very loving, though, especially to me. Mm-hmm. And I learned that from him, that it was okay to be a warrior in the garden opposed to a gardener in the war. I learned that early on, right? That was okay. It took me a while to really balance it, right? Because you're looking at all the other aggressive, and I come from Philadelphia, right? As soon as you come out the womb, you got to learn how to box. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have that, you're in trouble, right? So there's a toughness there. But then learning how to balance the love and the understanding, for me, I think helped me become a lot more peaceful in the journey. Mm. Yeah. Yep. Pretty much, man. My stepfather passed away my rookie year. We were playing Denver, and I got the call. And he was my oracle. He was the guy that, God sends you people, at least I think, to, whether good or bad, but to give you a message to become your best. Mm-hmm. And out of the four of them, he was the one who helped me understand me best, if that makes sense.
And that's interesting, right? Because you think your blood parents would be the ones, because, you're part of them.
Yeah.
But also the fact that, like, when a man steps up as a stepfather, like, you're not my kid, but they show up like, no, you are my kid. Right. That's powerful.
Yeah. I never felt that. I never, ever felt that ever in my life. And I think, with me having godchildren and children of my own, I always, it was equal. Everything, the love was, I buy him this, I buy him this. I hug him, I hug him. I go out with him, I'm on the phone with him, it was always that. And I always had boys until the angel came. And she is 9 and full of love and compassion and understanding and patience. And it's the weirdest thing. As much as love as I had in my life, she it's a different type of love, of different type of understanding, a different type of patience that you would have as a human being. And then she taught me something, Ru, where my boys sometimes, you're in the car, you may get this, your son's still a baby, but he's going to be in the kind he's going to, sometimes you guys are going to both be quiet in the car. Mm-hmm. But when you have that girl in the car, she's talking as soon as she gets in until she gets out. She's talking as soon as she wakes up until she goes to sleep. And then you learn the gift, you learn of listening. It's like a skill. Mm-hmm. Like you really have to listen because she's saying things that mean so much to her. So if you love someone, they should mean that as well to you. And she taught me a lot in these 9 years how to love more. And that was a good thing for me, man. Like I said before, I was always a person who loved people, and I believed in people because that's what my stepfather, my dad, and my mom, my stepmom did for me. Even when people don't believe in themselves. I love people. I do. Now, don't get me wrong. Do they get on my nerves? Yeah, they do.
It's fair.
But I understand everybody wasn't raised the same way, right? So, if you're a hammer, all you see is nails, right? Yeah. So it's the same thing as like some people were raised on love and some people were raised on survival. Mm-hmm. Like they're totally different, right? As much as the people who were raised on survival want to love, it's a hard thing to do, especially when you're conditioned at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And I was conditioned to love, man. I was conditioned to see the good in life, people, journey, paths. And I'm not saying that like there's no doubt. Like that's not what I'm saying, right? But I accepted those doubts, and you can control them. Mm-hmm. Okay, if I'm doubtful for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes, like okay, what's the positive side? Oh, I'm awake. Mm-hmm. Oh, I can take a step. Oh, I can go around the corner. Oh, I can go down the street. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't have to go with them. Like those are the things that you can pivot, basically. And I always believe in the whole, like Malcolm Gladwell, who's an author, he has the book Outliers. Like being surrounded around a certain environment makes you who you are too. Mm-hmm. So you have to be really careful of that. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, love is a choice. I say it's a verb.
Yeah.
We have to constantly choose it. We all come from different walks of life, right? And you see people that came from a silver spoon and end up bad. And you see people came from the worst environments that come out good. But it's how we're choosing. And sometimes I believe from people that I've hung out with and conversations I've had with people in prisons and stuff, they didn't believe they had a choice. And it's like, how can we make ourselves and the youth more curious? How can we empower people to realize that they have a choice instead of saying, look, I tell people choose love. Choose love over fear. There's plenty of fear getting thrown at us. But how do we start really embodying curiosity and saying, hey, be curious about the choices and opportunities you have? I think that's a good question to have around that space and see, can we make a change?
Yeah, I think we can. Listen, and I think on my platform, when it comes to like really giving men, fathers, dads, stepfathers, whatever, what have you, mentors, coaches, giving them a voice to be able to not just tell their story, but to understand the emotions that we go through, that they're okay. And I think once you do that, there's this butterfly effect. Once you do that, I think it trickles, to the other individuals out there. And then now you're a little more free, where there is no judgment. Oh, you did cry? Oh, that's okay. Oh, you felt scared? Oh, that's okay. Oh, you were nervous about this? Oh, it's okay. So saying it's okay, but yet not staying in it's okay frame, right? Because, coaches should say, a kid works hard in the gym and he's making mistakes. I'm going to be okay with that because he's working hard. But I don't want the whole, my bad, coach, and you keep saying my bad. Stop saying my bad. Don't stay in that phrase. Don't stay there. After you say my bad, we're fixing it. We're going to keep fixing it. Now, you may do it out of that 1 week, you may do it 5 times. Next week is 3. Next week it's 1. You're improving. And me, I understand that you're improving, so I'm going to sit there and be a little more patient with you. And that's the key. If we're more patient with, not excluding women, but if we're more patient with each other as men and more loving with each other and more communicative, like just communicating with each other more and not complaining, but just communicating, man. Like, I think that helps that our generation, the next generation and to come. Like I said, I had amazing mentors, whether they were on drugs, telling me basically, don't do that, or the most loving individuals who were lawyers, doctors, or whatever, saying, not even speaking, but this is what I do on a regular basis. So if you want to do this, just follow my lead. I mean, I think that's everywhere, and that's everybody. And coming from Philadelphia, there's a lot of people you can follow that'll take you down those roads that you want. Not so much as what you need, but yep. Yeah, man. It's pretty cool.
Well, communicating is huge. So if you look at most men, we go watch the game. How's the couch? It's a straight line.
Right.
We all sit shoulder to shoulder and we're looking at a TV screen. And then you look at how women communicate. They get in circles a lot.
Right.
They look at each other a lot. Just that factor alone is a little bit different. Because, okay, we're here watching the game, cheering for the people, but I'm not looking at you.
Right.
So I think if we change that could be a huge thing. And more men's groups and men's circles. And it's not that there's anything soft about it, but saying it's okay to be emotional. I remember I dated a girl a long time ago, and I got sensitive. I was crying. I've always been overly sensitive. She's like, you don't cry. That's not what you do. Man up.
Right.
I'm like, what? I didn't. And at the time, I didn't have the maturity. Not that I'm where I need to be, but who I am now, who I was 20 years ago when I heard that comment, it's a big difference.
Yeah.
And we probably hear that in other. I grew up in a very loving environment. My dad gave us hugs and kisses as well. So affection was always completely normal. So it wasn't a thing. I kissed my son probably 1 million times a day.
Right.
And I always ask him for kisses, and he does all the things. Yeah. It's the greatest thing ever. And I think humans are here to just love and get affection and that oxytocin release.
Yeah.
But sometimes, yeah, we're men, we're just hanging out, and like the most we did was like a little dap.
Yeah.
Like, no, come in here, let's hug it out.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because how I started my show and for fathers was inspired by the kids' godparents. And we'd be at the house or at my house, pick the house, and we would cook on Sundays. So all the other fathers, about 5 or 6 of us, and this has been 9 years straight, all the other fathers, we would gather around the island and we would just talk, right? TV's right there. Yeah, we're kind of glancing at the TV, but we're talking about different things that's going on in life, right? And not complaining. We're literally just talking about like, oh, I felt like this and I felt like that. And we were all in a safe space to be able to communicate about what we're all going through. And we're like, oh, wow, I felt that too. Oh, you too? Oh, okay, cool. So I can say it and I'm not a chump. Okay, cool, thanks. You know, it was like that. So that's where that idea came from. And, you know, me taking psychology and communications, of course, I like to talk, but I like to listen. So, you know, I'm like, all right, I want to hear what you have to say because I've been through a lot of things and I've paid attention to a lot of people who've been through things. So I have some type of like advice to give the individual or even just a lending ear of like, you need just to get off your chest and just let it go. Because sometimes, listen, man, everything doesn't need a response. It's just let it be, right? Like it's just something that like the answer may come a year from now. Doesn't have to come right away, right? And I think that's another thing that we don't really understand. We're not patient with our growth. And delayed gratification is very important for us, especially in this day and age, I think.
Yeah, and no, what you said right there, not everything needs a response. We're wired to fix.
Right.
Our relationship with our wives or spouses, they come and talk to us. They literally just want to talk to us and like, we don't need to say anything. Hold the space and listen. But then automatically we're like, this is how you fix it. And like, that's not what I want.
Right.
Like, you just missed the point.
Yeah.
Just listen to me. And then they're happy. That took a long time too.
It does take a long time because you're you know, I mean, it's just like them, right? When you say something that's very, you know, nurturing and they want to just be able to do this for you, make you feel comfortable and blah, blah. And it's like, you know, I think that's for just the human side of us being men and real men, right? Of course, you want to make sure things are okay and secure within inside your space, your house, your foundation. But yet understanding too is things that do happen, and it took me a long time to understand that, like they're meant to happen for a reason. Now you got to take a step back and understand why, right? And that you need to go through this because the universe keeps repeating these type of things if you don't get it right. And that was hard for me growing, not growing up, but growing as an individual, right? So why do people take advantage of me? And why does everybody ask for money? And why does this, that, whatever? It's like, well, it's because you're kind of doing it, right? Like you're not okay saying no, right? You don't really understand your boundaries, right? Like when you take a step back and you start to blame yourself for those things and it's not them, it's what you give off. My mom said to me a long time ago, this is years ago, my mom said to me, and she was tougher, right? She said, you teach people how to treat you. And I really didn't understand it when I was younger, right? I'm like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Then the older you get, right? I think Meryl Streep, she said something about that. She's like, I really don't care what people think. Like the older I get, like whether I do something good, it's gonna be critics. I do something bad, it's gonna be critics. It does not matter. Yeah. It doesn't really matter. It's not saying you don't care about people, but to get deeper, people don't care about themselves, so they form opinions of others, right? So it's like, you know, you don't really, really love you. That's why you're so fixated on me. How about just loving you first? And then when you really love who you are, whatever I'm doing won't bother you. Unless you're like doing something really bad to a human being or whatever it is that God's created. Other than that, it shouldn't bother you. Like if I'm busy, nothing should bother me.
True, yeah.
If I'm busy with inside self, right? I'm trying to conquer me. Like what you do, whether you're black, you're white, you're gay, you're this, that should not bother me.
Nope.
Everything's like bothering people. It's like, you're not doing your job for you. Like, and you're going to waste your life away. But I think we're switching.
I agree. No, and the way you put that, the other thing on the other side to add to that, it's like, we're going to get judged by everyone.
Yeah, no matter.
So why are we judging ourselves also on top of everything else? Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, let's worry about, teach people how we want to be treated, but we got to teach ourselves how we want to treat ourselves also.
Right.
So it's like this double-edged sword.
So I'm reading these. So I'm fixated on monks right now. So it's going to take me a few years before I really call myself the North Philly monk, right? Because I got to go to the temple and I got to do a whole bunch of things. I'm just like a phony right now. But I love it. I love the concept. I just love what they are, right? They're so peaceful. And they're such in search, and they're always in search and patient with how life is. And I'm reading a book, and the guy says in the book, Jay Shetty says in the book, he says, I forget who the person who said it, but in the beginning it was confusing to me. So what you were just talking about what we were talking about people. He says, I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I'm who I think you think I am. So that confusion for people in itself is the reason why we have this lurk. But it goes back to what you think they think you are. Because they may not even be thinking anything. But just a mirror of what the world you created, which frustrates you because you're not really in tune with yourself and you don't really love yourself. So once you start to really unpack and really start to focus on you and being hard on you of learning, I think that's where we really start to be more patient with the outside world, right, of others, pretty much.
Yeah, because looking at that, it's like we put on a mask of who we think you think we are. But we're choosing to put this on.
Yeah.
You know the burden of choosing to put that on and then trying to continue to put that facade out, the energy expenditure you go.
It's the worst.
That's why you go home and you're like, I'm exhausted. Why?
Yeah.
Because you didn't receive what truthful energy should have come to you because you put on a mask to give a fake impression of who you think they think you. It's crazy. Confusing, but it's truth.
Yes,
it's actually simple.
Yes.
If you really think about it.
So I say, God gives every single individual their own test. The only thing is, it's only a certain few that study for their tests. Everybody else is peeking over the shoulder and you're getting the wrong answers because it's not your test. You're studying my test, and my test in question 1 is it's A. You're putting A down, and yours might be C. So you're sitting here cheating yourself, but you're frustrated with the world. Study your test.
I love that.
You don't
every test is a 1 of 1.
1 of 1. It's a 1 of 1.
Test, Ruben's test. There's no
totally
other,
different.
That's it.
It's totally different. It's totally different, man. And once we really understand that your test is your test, and stop cheating, be more patient with yourself, I think that's where life becomes a little happier, right? A little more fulfilled. Your passion turns into your purpose. And then now I think everybody's purpose is, to give. Like you're on earth to give. And until we get that straight, it will always be what it is. Racism, frustration, killing, blah, blah, blah. Because everybody takes, right? This is why I was looking at Instagram, and this one lady, she was like, I just want $1 million. Okay, you want $1 million. Now, do you get the $1 million? Where you go from there? Once you spend it, where do you go? Mentally, physically, emotionally, where do you go? I said something, I'm lifting, and I'm like, happiness is not money. And then people, you can say that because you have money and this. I'm like, no, I'm just telling you, I went from no money to money, and it's like, there's still voids you have to fill. There's the purpose that you have to, that's not where it comes from. Well, let me just do it for myself. No, Jim Carrey said that. I want everyone to be successful. Every single person. Just to find out that that's not exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Like this, it's just, there's a phrase I heard, and I'm going to take it. You're only as faithful as your options. If I only have one pair of sneakers or one pair of brown shoes or one pair of black, just one, I'm not going to be confused of what shoes I should wear when it's time to put on my suit or my jeans with a sports jacket. Like, that's it. They put this in. So this is the body I got. I got to deal with this body. You can't go to another body. This is my body. So now having this body, I have to take care of this body. I got to take care of this mind. I can't go into another one. We get confused trying to jump into someone else's body or whatever it is. And it's like, why? Just stay within yours. If it's Kim Kardashian, if it's Ruben, if it's Kanye, if it's Cuttino, if it's Kobe, that's their body. So you want to be Kobe, you want to be Rashid, you want to be Eddie Murphy, you want to be Denzel Washington. And it's like, you don't really know what they're going through or went through or going to go through. And you're wishing to become something that you do not know. So you got to be very careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's a lot that comes with that one. Just wish to be your best. Don't wish to be no one else. Because that soul, and I believe in that, souls travel. And if you weren't good in the last life, that soul you asking for, that soul, that individual, John Smith's soul, that you see that looks all good right now, you're asking for that. So now, I may get a little deep, but for that right there, you don't, no. Be your best. Just don't worry about John Smith's soul. Because something can happen to John. Before this, John could have went through a whole bunch of stuff. What you're just seeing is like fluff. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the growth of the individual. That person you see right there went through so much before that, maybe, or going to go through a lot. You're just seeing that moment. We get fixated on moments, right? Like Instagram or Facebook or Snapchat or like that picture. And it's like, it's filtered and it's, done this way. And it's a whole bunch of shots are made and it's, that's what we do. Right. And it's, just your platform is love. It's like, you forget that part. Like,
don't get stuck on the highlight reel.
Ooh. Bro, it's the craziest thing. Listen, listen, we're older. We can say that now because it wasn't when we were 15, 12, 15, 20, right? I'm pretty sure I've probably been, pissed off and addicted and this kid's getting more pub and he's on this platform and I might have, but guess what? There were magazines out. There was TV still out and I wasn't, at that time, I wasn't jealous of Rashid. I wasn't jealous of Kobe, Alvin, no one. I wanted to be in that circle. So I just worked my hardest to do what I can do for me. I never looked at magazines, the ranking. I didn't do that. Now, we didn't have internet, like I said, but that was our internet. ESPN and, the magazines and all that stuff. I didn't do it then. So would I have been the discipline to do it now? I don't know, but I'm just telling you what I did then. So I can kind of give myself like a 70% chance that I would have been like, nah, I'm cool. I don't want to deal with that. I'm gonna do it this way. This is the way I feel because I'll drive myself crazy. Yeah, you'll drive yourself crazy.
It's more in your face now.
Yeah,
than ever before. Yeah, I can't imagine. I look back. There's that saying, "Oh, if I could tell my younger self, like if I knew what I knew now, yeah, it'd be great. It'd be a different thing." But we get to every decade's a whole new level of maturity. I'll tell you, like, I'm in my early 40s, 42 now. But at 28, I couldn't imagine being a father. Right. At 38, I couldn't imagine being a father. Right. And right now, I'm like, it's perfect. Yeah. We're all those things. Yeah, social media when I was 20, I don't even know, right?
We were crazy. We were idiots. I mean, come on. Like, people say that, I believe in the butterfly effect, which is true, right? Asking or saying more so, oh man, if I knew what I knew now back then, I would have been this. Well, you don't know that. How about this one? Once you go back all the other characters and elements, they change also. You don't just change, they change. So now it becomes either harder or easier for your journey. You don't just go to you change and then your mothers, your father, the girlfriend, the boyfriends, the basketball, the football, the this, that, all that just stays the same. That's not how it works. So when you're asking that, I would say to myself, at a younger self, stay patient. Enjoy it. Study as much as you can. Love yourself first. Like, that's it. There is no other secret. There isn't. Love you first. Create boundaries. Focus on you. Become disciplined within. Like, and study.
Yeah.
Study life. That's it. Like, that's the best advice anyone can give anyone, especially when they're younger. All this other, stay away from girls. Don't spend your money. like, that's just so, come on, man. What are we doing?
Yeah. That's surface level.
Surface level. It's very surface level because they haven't really touched the uncomfortableness of growing themselves. So of course I'm going to tell you that. Or it was so uncomfortable for them that they may not want it to be that for you, which is not their decision. I need you to put me through it or at least guide me towards it. So it's like a kid's coming to me and when I'm training, I'm waking up at 4:30. I'm at, and I keep mentioning these guys because I grew up with them, Kobe and Rashid and Alvin and all this. Waking up super early in the morning to work out. So if you want to become a pro, this is what we do. Guess what? It's not all shits and giggles. It's frustrating. No, you can't go out Friday night. Guess what? Saturday, you may can go out to the movies with your friends, maybe, but then we're gonna go shoot. And then Sunday we may rest a little bit, but then Monday we starting again. So if I say to people, listen, exhaust yourself until you know if you love it or not. But you can't just tiptoe around. Like, that's not, go ahead. I need you to put it all in. Not one toe, put your whole body in and then see where you go from there because you're going to learn regardless. You're going to learn who you are, who you're going to become, or who you're not. But you have to start somewhere. And uncomfortable is the best place. That's the best door to knock on. It's the best one. Yeah. That's what I think.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
There you go.
But that's it. I mean, I think if we just dabble through life, we never realize what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I've had artists email me and write these big old essays and end it with, so should I become a street artist, a muralist?
Right.
And I'm like, you wrote me all that and ended with that question?
Right.
Like, I'm going to reply with no.
Right. Yes.
Like, go read what you wrote.
Yes.
Or I've had people come just for the practice, the 4:30. So I played football at college at Canyon. So I saw Kobe. Kobe was up there. He would go train with Vidi back in the day. And he was just hitting 400s on the repeat on the track while we were playing on the practice football field.
Right.
And then we would see him in the gym shooting. Yeah. So I saw that work ethic. So that was incredible. But I'll tell people, come help me out on a mural.
Right.
They think it's all like super cool. The mural's done. Like, wow, this is really hard. Like, my body's right. Yeah, 12-hour days.
Yes.
6 days in front of a giant building to finish it.
Yes.
Just like doing all the work in the practice field before the glorious game where everyone sees you. Yeah. Yeah, it's the stuff you have to do behind the scenes when nobody's looking.
That's and that's, how about this one? We've never been women. We've only been men in this life. And now God's blessed us to be fathers. And it's not that easy to just go and have intercourse and, baby comes out. Like, you really have to start working on you because then now that person's watching you, not listening, but watching you. It's not as easy. So when you're 12 hours, and your body's hurting and it's like, it's maybe hot or it's this or it's that. And it's like, that's a love that you've conditioned, the discipline, the being in the gym early, go through that first. Here, take the baby and let me see what you do all day. Here, this is the mirror. You know, I'm gonna give you just 4 straight hours first. You know what? I'm gonna just let you train just twice this week. Then we're gonna bump it up to 3. Then we're gonna do 4. And let me see if you really want this, if that's what you really want. And they look at the finished product. It's so cool. Oh man, you're such a good dad. Oh, you guys are great dads. Like, no, I was going through some stuff to get to where I'm at, to understand that this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's where we don't really, and it's, you know, it's not some kid hit me on in Instagram, direct message. And his phrase was, Rube, I swear, it's like, give me a job. Just that. I don't know him.
Not a hey, hi.
No. So I replied back. I said, you don't know a person and you're going to ask a person this question like that. So it was a couple of days. I was about to go in, like just kind of like texting him. And it was a couple of days had passed and he was like, oh, you see, that's why I don't reach out because, you know, people don't want to help a young black brother. And then that's when I had to go in on him.
That's the story, right?
Yeah.
He's validating the story.
Yeah, the martyr. And listen, first of all, I looked at your profile. What job do you want me to give you? What do you see in me? What do you see in you that's like me? Or what do you see in me that's you? Tell me what you see. Now, if he can say, you know what, I want to be better, I want to be this, I want this, that, whatever, I want to clean up my act, cool. I understand it. But what if his job is shoveling shit for right now? What if his job is doing this right now? What if it's that job? Is your ego ready for that? What if that's your job? What is to go get me coffee every single time and I don't even drink coffee?
Yeah.
What is to make sure that my shoes are never dirty? What if it's that first? Are you willing to do that? So you're asking for these things in life. Okay, so I'm a single dad. I go pick my kids up. And like I'm the only dad, right? So it's like all these moms and then they're like these little cliques. They're in these little cliques and there's 4 of them right here and they're talking about how their life is and they're driving a Tesla and a Cadillac and this and that. And then all 3 of them over here and then 3 of them, and I'm watching and each group's talking about a certain group or talking about how miserable their life is, blah, blah, blah. And I started thinking about that. This is when my son was really young and my daughter was a baby. And I started thinking about, I'm like, wow. That's crazy. And this is what you asked for. Like you asked for this, but you weren't detailed enough to understand exactly what you needed, right? You went and asked for what you wanted because you saw, okay, I can tell my friends I'm married. I have a dog. I have kids. I have a house. I have a husband. You might not like your husband. You're getting sick of the dog. Right? Kids are overwhelming. Not saying you don't love them, right? Like, I don't have a job, or I really have like a philanthropy job. It's like something I really want to do. It's like so many different things, and men too. Wanting to go to the NBA, or wanting to be a doctor, or wanting to be a lawyer, like all these different things. It's like, you got to be really careful how you present your words. You have to be careful of what you ask the universe and what you do in life. And I'm not saying I have it all straight, but I try my best to like control the destiny by the discipline of how I think, right? Like, it's not I'm not a master at it, but if I keep surrounding myself with all these different individuals that I think could get me to that place on a regular basis, because it's uncomfortable in the beginning, that will help me stay comfortable during the journey of uncomfortable, right? But it's, so that kid, I had to jump on him a little bit, just to like kind of let him know. I said all that, like, just that's not how life works.
No, and some of that, the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like that's where he was going with it. He wants to validate that is the truth. But what you just said, what is it that you want versus what is it that you need? You know, in my early 20s, I went into real estate, made a lot of money. I wanted all the things. I had diamond watches. I had Escalades with 26s. I had boats, bikes, and houses. Yeah. Wanted all that. And that's how I showed that I was successful and whole and living the American dream. And then 2008 comes and I lose it all. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm still me.
Right.
But now I'm me with all my holes and emptiness and self-worth and all that conversation. And I don't have money to buy things to deflect. You know, because what I wanted is completely different than what I need.
Keyword deflect. I love it.
And we need love. Humans are here to just love. But then, you know, earlier we were saying, talking about words and what we can and can't say. Like, do our pronouns matter? Do our affiliations matter? Do our races matter? No,
Right.
we want
No.
to be humans.
Yes.
So it gets interesting. It gets tricky.
It does. It does get tricky, you know, because deflecting self-awareness, right? Looking in the mirror in the morning when you brush your teeth and really saying, like, did you do what you're supposed to do today? Like, are you going to do what you're supposed to do today? Did you do what you're supposed to do yesterday? Like, those things. And listen, another thing about me is I'm okay with help. My executive, she runs my life. If I don't have her, I'm chaos because my brain goes. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm trying to put more in my head. This library up here is so crazy right now. And it's always been like that. But having those people that like-minded individuals, I call them lichens, like-minded individuals that can keep you motivated, right? I don't like to use the word motivated, but keep you in tune with your passion that creates the purpose. I think all of us need that. You need those people, right? If I get a certain energy from you, I don't want to bombard you, but I want to give just as much as you give. And I need to be around that because it's, you know, certain people don't have that, man. Like, they don't. I'm not afraid of rejection. A lot of people are. A lot of people are not successful or afraid of rejection. I'm okay with putting myself out there to say, listen, I need help. I need to help do this because I want to do that. You know, I feel a certain way right now. I'm a little down. What should I do? Okay, boom. Right? Like, I'm whether I'm talking to myself or I'm talking to a Rose or I'm talking to my cousins, my best friends, I'm trying to stay away from all the darkness. And I say that for everyone to understand, darkness is like the yin and yang. It's like the light. It's going to be there. It's just that where do you want to reside at? I'd rather live over here because I know every, you know, moments it's going to be like that. You got family members that's, you know, I mean, you have family members that's like, God, every day, something wrong? What are you doing? Right? So you don't want that energy. So sometimes you got to be the therapist. You got to be whatever you got to be. But then you got to back up. Like, not this week. Not this next week, okay? I got some energy for you next week. Not this week, though. And we weren't like that at a young age. Our parents didn't teach us, and it wasn't their fault, but our parents never taught us boundaries. Boundaries for them, us for them, not us for ourselves. And they never taught us to love ourselves. That's another tricky thing. So those two things right there, I think, confuses the communication level of human beings in general, relationships, whatever it is. Because it's like, you know, you don't want to never upset your mom. You don't want to upset your dad. You don't want to upset your teacher. You don't want to upset this. You don't want to upset anyone. So then now you become a pleaser. Of everything you do in life. The girlfriend, the boyfriend, the coach, to this, to that. It's like, well, what about my feelings? Right? Now, when you start getting older, 60, 70, 80, you become selfish with that because you don't really know how to give without, it's like giving with anonymous to anonymous. Now it's like something has to come back to me, opposed to learning it very young and saying, you know what? I'm just going to give because I feel, this is how I feel happy when I'm giving and I'm giving my love because I love myself so much. I want to just keep giving it out. We don't get taught that. Yo, hug my mom, hug my dad, la, la, la. Okay, cool. Are you hugging yourself? Are you telling yourself you love yourself? No, you're not doing it at a young age. When do you start? That's what we should be teaching our especially our boys. When do you start? So now when you go date this little girl, hey man, be good to her. That could be your sister. That could be your mom. That could be anything. Be a good person. Be upfront with them, right? And I don't know. I always, let's put it this way. I try to tell my boys and my daughter this, like, speak up for yourself, right? Understand that if you don't feel like doing that, and ask yourself why. Just question. You have to question things in life. And to really understand that you have to go through it, right? You got to be, sometimes you got to be silent, sit in your room silent. Sometimes, like I said earlier, like it's questions that you can't answer at the moment. It may come in a year or two, right? The same movie you watched, Shawshank Redemption, when you were 20, you watched it and it's like, I don't really get it. Then you 30, you watch it and go, wow, I get everything. That's how, because it's growth of life.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, man, I love growing. I love life. I love hearing other people's stories about it, right? Because it's such an interesting thing that God has done. It's like put us here and was like, yo, listen, I need you guys to do this and figure this out. And now we just sit there like,
It's actually easier than we make it. Humans are meaning-making machines. We make meaning out of everything.
Right.
Everything means something. Whatever is something. I always joke around and say Mercury in retrograde, and all of a sudden people's lives going chaos. I'm like, how is a planet going to affect your life?
Right.
Anyway, but there was a couple of things you said before, and like our parents did the best they could. We don't come with instructions.
Right.
And when you talked about souls, like Remy chose my wife and I to be his parents. Like I chose to be with my parents. Like if we start looking at that, what are the lessons there to unpack? But the whole boundary thing and the people pleasing and the self-love, I'm a big believer in that now. It's, yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And then our parents, they do it for that return. And I'm like, we got to do it unconditionally. Like, I've said it before I had a kid, and I'll say it now. I'm like, Remy, my son, will never owe me anything. Every choice I make is for him. I'm not a martyr. I'm not a sacrifice.
Say the same thing.
I'm choosing it.
Yes.
If I give him my kidney, hey, you don't owe me a kidney later. That was my choice. I want you to be the best you possible because it's your life.
Right.
And let's go into self-love. Like I see this little kid just running around copying everything I do.
Yeah.
And I've been on my whole battle of self-love and being gentle with myself and having those conversations. And I'm like, you know what? I can't teach him self-love. You can't define self-love.
Right.
Some people are like, well, it's getting a spa every other day. It's eating healthy. It's all those things.
Right.
All those things are true. But he's going to learn self-love by seeing me love myself.
Facts. That's facts, man.
And that's it. So I have to continue to do the work. I got to continue to put in the reps, show up, and show self-love. Also showing when I go to the dark, we're human. It's okay to go dark.
Right.
But when we do the work, we're in the dark less.
Yes.
And we can get out of it quicker because we have more tools to snap out of it.
That's so true. I said it to my boys and my daughter, actually. I'm going to tell you a story after this, but I used to tell my boys this when they were younger, and I still tell them to this day. It's like, if you don't owe me, you don't owe no one. I don't care who it is. If you don't owe me, you don't owe no one at all. I don't care. So they can understand it's like you don't walk around life like, oh, I got to give this, I got to go there. No, man. No, love you. You fine, man. What I'm doing, like you say, I picked Donald and Jackie. I picked them. People like we're crazy when we say this, but that's the truth. Like you choose, okay, I want those parents. Okay, now I'm coming out. Okay. Miles said, you know what? Tino said, you know what? Yeah, I like those two. I'm gonna help them. Because when we come in, we're helping them individuals. Then Miles, Tino, and Sam are helping me become better. And that's how it works. Boop, 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 boop. Works like that. My daughter, she's so positive. It's crazy. So when she was little, Rube, she used to. I had a bike. We used to ride bikes all the time. So on the front of the bike, she would sit, and it was like a seat. She, it was strapped to the bike, and she was the front of the bike. So everybody saw her first, right? So I said, listen, you have a superpower. This is when she's little. I mean, 2 years old. I swear to goodness. I said, you have a superpower. You know what it is? She's like, what? And she's little. I said, when you smile, you make people smile. You make people happy. Watch. When we ride by, just smile at those people. And then people would smile back. I said, see? And she thought that she had that superpower of making people happy. So I say that to say, if you meet my daughter, she's the cutest little thing. It's the craziest thing. And she's such a positive individual. Story here. Her birthday, she loves Stranger Things. Okay? So I don't know if you know Stranger Things, the whole thing, upside down world, the whole thing. So Rose, my executive, told me about it after the fact. We get this cake, bro. The cake's maybe this big, okay? It's the Stranger Things cake. It's the monsters, the whole thing. Sam loves it, right? So I go to the house. We get it all the way to the house, safe. We go to the Airbnb because we're having a party for her. I go back to the house to get the cake. I'm coming back to the Airbnb. There's a older lady in the front, then there's a car, and then it's me. The older lady stops and was going to make a right, but she didn't put on a blinker. So the car in front of me stops, and then I stop. The cake's in the back, okay? It moves. So now it's tilted. The cake's tilted. I get out the car, pull over, get out the car. I see the cake. I'm like, God, I'm in trouble. I cannot believe this. Blah, blah, blah. So I get to the house, and I'm like, Rose, my ass is in trouble. Rose being positive like always. She's like, no, we're all right. We'll take care of it. It's good, right? So you need people like that. Because if I'm like that, right, people like that, whatever.
Yeah.
Sam comes in, and Rose made me think. She said, Sam goes, I'm like, the cake, it's messed up. I don't know. She says, no, Dad, it's okay. It's all right. It's kind of like the upside down world. So the cake's supposed to be like that. She made me feel so much better. Like that little positive kind of, and Rose said, you know what? Because that's you. Like you always think of something positive. So like that for me, when I see my kids do certain stuff like that, I'm like, wow, okay, they're getting it. No matter how crazy this life is and what's going on and how negative friends may be, the more you practice of forgiving and understanding and patience, forget the rest of the world. You'll see it from a better lens. So when I saw my 9-year-old daughter do that, oh, bro, I felt like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing, bro. Like that made me feel good.
Well, she's definitely looking through the lens of love.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, so that made me feel good. My boys are like that too. But she's for sure that type of person. Yeah.
It's amazing. So the transition from non-father to father, we've talked fatherhood. For those that aren't fathers, I mean, it's the ultimate blessing. We can't really, it's hard to describe it, right? But I do want to come back and just circle back on what was the transition from MBA to non-MBA? Because I know that people get stuck in like me quitting finance as to become an artist. What did that look like?
That's interesting. MBA to no MBA. Because see, before the MBA, I wasn't in the MBA. Wanting to get to the MBA. And that wasn't until like my junior year in college, right? Because before it was, I just want to go Division I. Then it was the MBA. Then when I got to the MBA, it was a dream, right? After the MBA, it's a fraternity. 75 years, only 5,000 players that ever played in the NBA. And I'm one of those guys. And I think for me, having that camaraderie and peers, that Cat was really good, or, that made me feel accepted. But I've always had an amazing family base. My stepfather's not here. He passed away my rookie year. And my stepmother passed away in 2019. So besides those two, everyone else is all together. So the transition, my childhood friends, still there. So it wasn't a transition where I became something when I got to the NBA and then morphed into this individual and then, or was mean or bad to people. And then now all of a sudden I'm back to the regular world. I've always been in a very blessed world, regardless if it was the NBA or not. And I understood that because after the NBA, during the NBA, and before the NBA, the love has always been there. It didn't waver.
So it didn't define you?
No, man. No. It puzzles me even to this day sometimes where Rose and I we'll go do something, some of our other partners and our guys, and I'm like, wow, they really thought I was good, huh? Like I get little, if Scottie Pippen will call me, or this person will call me, or that person will call me, and Rashid or Alvin, it's like, Terrell Davis, NFL, Hall of Famer, it's my brother. Certain people like I have access to that I think that are amazing, and they think I'm amazing. And I'm like, gosh, this is crazy. 8 billion people, and like I'm one of few. Like it's still crazy to me. I think that's the humble side I have of myself, and just understanding that life is about moments, and collecting those moments to make the best art piece, make the best book, the best movie that you can make is the beauty in the struggle. I'm just humble, man, about it. I'm the same as I was before. And the funny thing is, I've asked my teachers in college, I've asked my friends in high school, because I'm always trying to be as self-aware, not self-absorbed as possible. Because, and I use the word humble, I'm calling myself humble, but I use the word humble so we can all understand what I mean by that, because there is, I don't know any other word to say this. Like my spirit is a down-to-earth spirit, but I don't live a down-to-earth life.
Yeah.
Right? We're like, you're Ruben, I'm Cuttino. It's like, we live a different life than, the other individuals that don't have electricity, don't have a car, that's
born here.
That's Normal for them. This is normal for us. Listen, I'm not saying God take it away, but I appreciate it a lot. And what I can do is being aware is to hug and inspire and to teach as much as I can while I'm here, right? Like that's all I've really. And listen, we'll grow even more. Like your platform, it gets such a level because just likens, right? We're in the same. I guess movie, right? Is it coming together? Like that's God's way of saying, like, okay, you're on the right track. Okay, you hug and you want love too. Okay, cool. Yeah. Y'all need to go together and do this and do that and do this. And understanding that message, when we were younger, God gives you, the universe gives you these different types of like clues for you to latch onto, and sometimes you ignore them. And he may give you one more. But after that, he's going to close, you don't feel like it. I'll give it to someone else. And we have to really pay attention to that, right? And once you pay attention to that, then you become Voltron, right? Yeah. You build that Voltron. I'm dating myself, but Voltron,
I love Voltron.
Do you remember Voltron?
Tigers or cars?
I like the cars.
I like both. I think the tigers, but the lions. Were they
lions? The lions. Yeah, because the lion's my favorite animal. So they come together, all of them come together, one big, and that's what we need to do as a society. And I think because, like I said before, we're men, I think we start with us first, and then we help everybody else, right? They put that mask on.
And then we have a convo and the ripple effect.
The ripple effect, exactly. Yeah, that butterfly effect is great.
Gratitude and humility.
Yes.
Last 2 questions.
Okay.
Might throw in a third. I haven't decided yet. But how do you define love? What is love?
Love is so broad. So love is it's so complex. It's such a creative action like word. I think for me, love would be not so much sacrificing oneself, but understanding that being on earth and giving is love in itself. So I would tell my daughter this: if you love something, if you love this flower, she loves picking flowers when she was younger. If you love it, leave it there. Let it be the beauty that you know it is. You take it out. One, you take it from its family, I tell her. But two is you kill it. And I think love in that way, for me, is when I explain it to not only my daughter, but for the rest of the world, is that love is letting a person grow. Love is being patient with the individual. I don't know if it was Seneca, the philosopher, was saying, be hard on oneself, but leaning on others. I think that's love. Because of the show, right? Because everyone needs that hug. They need the understanding because they're fighting their own battle.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, being selfless, self-aware to not only yourself, but understanding that everyone needs each other. So yeah, so I would say love to me is understanding, right? And that's big, right? What do you understand? Life, right?
Yeah.
If you understand life, you understand that meaning like this person is like this, and this person is like this, and this person is like this. It's life. So understand, God put us on earth, so understand that. Love, give, help, those things. I think, yeah. I mean, it's the easiest way.
Understand.
Seek to understand. I think that's love. Because then now it's not as narcissistic or egotistical as one may kind of, I guess, be, right? You're like, my dad is who he is. I love him. This guy over here, he's who he is. I love him. If another thing too is when you can understand an individual, that is a part of you, or once was. I don't care if it's 1%. That's a part. That's you. That's you too. Maybe not a lot of you, but that's a part of you.
Yeah.
If you're speaking Mandarin and I don't know Mandarin, I don't know what it is. How do I identify it? Can't. What are you gonna say? All the languages out there in the world. What is he speaking? What is that? Now, if I understand a little bit of his Cantonese, Mandarin, this, that, whatever. Oh, that's Asian. Oh, that's Mandarin. Because you understand it now. It's the same thing with people. When things bother you or things, that's a part of you. So now you got to go back to yourself. Love oneself, understand and be patient with oneself so I can understand and be patient with this individual. That's how it sprinkles. Right? It's like giving them.
It's like when someone annoys you, wait, what's in that person that's annoying you that's in yourself?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, well said.
Yeah.
But favorite question.
Yeah, go.
How would you define living a life through love?
How would I define living a life through love? I don't know, man. Living a life through love, it's a very, I don't want to say fairy tale, but my daughter wakes up in the morning. My sons too, but more so her because she's more affectionate. She's happy. She has brothers who love her, mother who loves her, father, grandparents, everybody. She hugs, she kisses. there's a purity, an innocence. And I try my best to get there in all the different avenues I've been to in life. But I think in living it is being a child again. Having that innocence, getting those hugs every day and wanting to be better, wanting to help, to be accepted. And that's a lot of us. I always say that. We're children and grown-up bodies playing adults. You're playing an adult. Your body's grown, but you're still a child. So what do children want? They want attention. They want hugs. They want reassurance, right? And most importantly, I think they want security. And I think that's what we should be giving to each other. So I think that's living in if that would answer that one.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kat, for joining
My guy.
us. Thank you for sharing.
Super cool, man.
And where can everybody find you?
So I'm on Instagram, Cuttino's Life, CUTTINOSLIFE. I'm on TikTok, Cuttino Mobley. Twitter is Cuttino's Life as well. And we have a podcast show called Dad's Point of View, which I would love for you to be on.
I'm there.
Yeah, so you can find me out there just maybe crying sometimes, hugging. I don't know.
Loving life within the Phoenix.
Yes, sir. My man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Live Through Love. If you love this episode, you'll love this episode.